I hope you have finished all your work and you have finished learning the topics which I covered in the last class, and you have cleared all the doubts regarding the topics which I have already completed. We have come to the end of the first half of the chapter. Today we will be discussing animal tissues. Last class we discussed plant tissues. Last two classes we were discussing plant tissues. Meristematic tissue, permanent tissues. Permanent tissues again of two types, simple permanent, complex permanent. Simple permanent tissue is again of three types, parenchyma tissue, collenchyma tissue, sclerenchyma tissue. Next, complex tissue, and one more thing was the protective tissue. Under protective tissue we learned epidermis and cork. Next, complex permanent tissue, there are two types, xylem tissue and phloem tissue. These were the types of tissues which we discussed in the last two classes. Today we will be discussing animal tissues. So animal tissues, when we discuss, there are different types of animal tissues. Depending upon the work, we can divide animal tissues into four main types. First, we need tissues for protection. So first tissue is protective tissue. What is the first protective tissue? Which tissue protects us? Yes, epithelial tissue. The protective tissue in the body is epithelial tissue. Second, we know we are animals. We need to move from one place to another. We do lot of work. For all this, movement is necessary. So the second tissue, the tissue that helps in movement, muscular tissue. Clear? Third, there should be a connection between different parts of the body. So we have third type of tissue, that is connective tissue. Fourth, very important characteristic of living organism is the ability to respond to stimulus. In order to respond to stimuli, there should be a control and coordination. That is done by the fourth tissue, that is nervous tissue. Clear? So tissue, animal tissues in general can be classified. There are four types. For protection, yes, which tissue is it? Epithelial tissue. Next, for movement, which tissue helps in movement? Well, it is muscular tissue. Third, what is the third tissue? Connecting different parts of the body. That is connective tissue. And fourth, we have nervous tissue. So these are the four tissues which we will be discussing in the second half of the chapter. Epithelial tissue, muscular tissue, connective tissue and nervous tissue. So we will see the structure of different tissues and learn one by one now. Shall we? Well, the first type of animal tissue which we are going to learn now is epithelial tissue. I told you epithelial tissue is a protective tissue. It protects our body. The outermost lining of a body is epithelial tissue. The inner lining of all the organs is also epithelial tissue. Got it? So depending upon the place where they are present and depending upon the function, the structure will vary. We will learn about the different types of the epithelial tissue here by seeing few pictures and the slides. Please note down the points as you see the slide. I won't be repeating it again. As you see the slide, note down the points in your notebook. I won't be giving you any notes related to this chapter. We shall now discuss animal tissues. Animal tissues are grouping of cells that are specialized to perform special functions. The working of an animal body is coordinated by tissues and organs formed from them. On the basis of the structure and functions, animal tissues are of four types. That is epithelial tissue, muscular tissue, connective tissue and nervous tissue. We shall first discuss epithelial tissue. It is a fundamental animal tissue which forms a continuous sheet of closely packed cells that cover all external and internal surfaces of the animal body. Epithelium is therefore also called covering tissue. It is the simplest animal tissue, and this epithelium rests over an extracellular layer of collagen fibers and dense matrix called basement membrane. Basement membrane connects the epithelial tissue to the underlying connective tissue. A direct vascular supply is absent. So from this you would have understood that it is a protective tissue. It covers most organs and cavities within the body. It keeps different body systems separate. The skin, the lining of the stomach, lining of the blood vessels, lung alveoli and kidney tubules are all made of epithelial tissue. Now let us see the general functions of the epithelial tissue. It's already protective in function, but based on the organ in which it is present, the function will also vary. So general functions are: first, protection. We have already discussed. Second, absorption. For example, if it is in the intestine, the lining of the intestine, the function is to absorb the digested food. Next, excretion. In kidney tubules, you can see it helps in excretion. Next, exchange of gases. For example, in lung alveoli, it helps in exchange of gases. Next, movement of materials. Here you can see epithelia having cilia. You will be discussing later. There are cilia in certain epithelial cells which help in movement of various types of materials. Next, secretion. For example, in the stomach, epithelial cells in the stomach help to secrete digestive juices. So from these points you would have understood that based on the location, function of the epithelial cells will also vary. Now we will discuss how epithelial cells are classified based on their that is shape of the cell and also arrangement of layers. So first, based on the arrangement of layers, epithelial cells are of two types, that is simple epithelium and stratified epithelium. Simple epithelium is made up of a single layer of cells. For example, the lining of your cheek, lining of the esophagus, all these are simple epithelial cells. Second one is stratified epithelium. That is also based on the layers I told you. If the epithelium is made up of more than one layer, we call it as stratified epithelium. For example, skin. The main function of the skin is to protect the internal organs, inner layers. So the skin is made up of more than one layer of epithelial cells. So it is called as stratified epithelium. So based on the arrangement of layers, epithelial tissue can be classified into two. What are they? Simple epithelium and stratified epithelium. Next, based on the shape, cell shape, we can classify them into different types. First one, squamous epithelium. Each one of this we will be discussing separately. I will be explaining the structure, their location, structure and also the function. I'll just tell you the names now. Based on the shape, squamous epithelium, they are flat cells. Second, cuboidal. From the term it is very clear, it is cubical in shape. Third, columnar epithelium. This is pillar shaped cells. So based on the shape of the cell, the epithelium may be squamous epithelium, cuboidal epithelium or columnar epithelium. Columnar is pillar shaped cells. These pillar shaped cells sometimes will have cilia on the outer surface. Then it is called as ciliated columnar epithelium. Second, some of the epithelial cells may function as gland. The inner, there may be folding in the cells and these foldings will act as gland. So we call them as glandular epithelium. So first type, based on the shape, that is the squamous epithelium. Squamous epithelium is simple, thin, flat, polygonal cells. Now, where are they present? They are present in the lining of the blood vessels. And when they are present in the blood vessel, of course, the function will be exchange of materials and filtration. They are present in the lung alveoli, where the function will be exchange of gases. And third, esophagus and lining of the mouth is also made up of squamous epithelium, where the function will be protection. Here is the picture of the squamous epithelium. You can see the basement membrane on which these cells are placed. And like any other cell, it also has got cytoplasm, nucleus, etc. Next type of epithelium is stratified squamous epithelium. I have told you stratified is the term is more than one layers. Stratified epithelial tissue is arranged in a pattern of layers. They are present in the skin to prevent wear and tear, because that is the main area which is exposed. And here you can see the picture of the stratified squamous epithelium. The cells are placed on the basement membrane. Next, based on the shape, the first type is cuboidal epithelium. As the name indicates, they are cube-shaped cells. They are placed in the kidney tubules, ducts of salivary glands, pancreatic ducts, etc. And their function is to give mechanical support. Here is the picture of the cuboidal epithelium. Next is columnar epithelium. This columnar epithelium consists of tall, columnar or pillar-shaped, compactly arranged cells. They are usually placed in the lining of the stomach, intestine and their glands. Function will be absorption, secretion. I already told you, if it is in the intestine, it is absorptive function. If it is in the stomach, it is secretion. In the glands, it is secretion. Here is a picture of ciliated columnar epithelium. Next comes ciliated columnar epithelium. Just the description. This is called, the columnar epithelium is called ciliated columnar when cilia are present on the outer surface of the cells. They are usually present in the lining of the respiratory tract and oviducts. In respiratory tract, you can see the cilia will push the mucus, the slimy substance inside the nose, and it will clear the dust. And in the oviduct, it helps to push the ovum towards the uterus. Next is glandular epithelium. Epithelial cells are infolded to form glands. They are usually present in sweat glands, digestive glands and endocrine glands. Next tissue what we are going to discuss is muscular tissue, movement. Muscular tissue, there are two types of movement in our body. One is voluntary movement, other one is involuntary movement. Voluntary movements are movements that is under our control. For example, muscles in our hand. Only if I want these muscles to work, it will work. If I feel that I have to stand still like this, are my muscles working? No. If I feel that I have to lift my hand, I will lift. Then these muscles have to work. So muscles which are under my control is called as voluntary muscles. Clear? Muscles which are not under my control, it is called as involuntary muscles. They work on their own. For example, muscles of our digestive tract, esophagus. Once we put the food inside the mouth, if I want it to be chewed, I will chew, my jaw muscles will work. So jaw muscles are voluntary muscles. It won't work on its own. Only if I feel like chewing, it will work. But once I swallow the food, from then on, if I want or not, the muscles will contract and relax. You have learned digestive system, peristaltic movement. So these muscles in the digestive tract is an example for involuntary muscles. Muscles in the heart, that is also an involuntary muscle. But difference is that the heart muscles work in a rhythmic way. When upper auricles contract, ventricles relax. When ventricles contract, it goes on like this in a rhythmic way. So we are classifying them in a separate group. So here in this topic, muscular tissue, we will be discussing three types of muscles. Striated muscle or voluntary muscles, unstriated muscle or involuntary muscles or smooth muscles. And third, we will be discussing the cardiac muscle. Striated or voluntary muscles, unstriated or involuntary muscles, and third, cardiac muscle. Clear? Next, we will be discussing the different types of muscular tissues. Muscular tissue, you know, it is of different types, and it is a contractile tissue which possesses contractile proteins inside cells held together by connective tissue. Cells of the muscular tissue are elongated. They are called muscle fibers. In a muscle fiber or muscle cell, plasma membrane may fuse with basement membrane to form sarcolemma. So covering of this muscle fiber is called as sarcolemma. Muscular tissue occupies nearly 40% of total weight of the body, and it consists of groups of muscle fibers called muscles. Contraction and relaxation of the muscles produces movement. The different types of muscle fibers are striated, unstriated, and cardiac. So the first muscle fiber is striated muscle fibers. They are long cylindrical cell. Second, the fibers have blunt ends. Third, they possess striations. Or we can also say dark and light bands are present. Next, the muscle fiber is multinucleate. They occur peripherally below the sarcolemma, that is towards the periphery. So when you learn about the muscle fiber, you have to keep 4 points, main 4 points in your mind. Shape. Second, whether striations are present or absent. Third, whether it is uninucleate or multinucleate, how many nucleus is present. And fourth, their function. They are voluntary muscle, they are voluntary in function. I have not noted here, you may write that also. Apart from the 4 points, you can add the additional points given. As you see the slide, please note down the points for muscular tissue and also for epithelial tissue. I won't be giving notes for these topics. So once again I repeat, striated muscle. First, shape. What is the shape? Long and cylindrical. Second, nucleus. What is the condition of the nucleus? They are multinucleate. Where is the nucleus present? Towards the periphery. So both together you can write as 1 point. And third, dark and light bands are present or they possess striations. What type of muscles are these? What is the function? They are voluntary in function. They work under our control. Next muscle fiber is smooth muscle fiber or unstriated. First, shape. What is the shape of the muscle fiber? They are long, elongated and spindle shaped. Second, what did I say? When it is spindle shaped, of course understood, the fibers have pointed ends. When it is cylindrical, they have blunt ends. That is an extra point which you can add to your point. Second, what I told you is about striations. Here striations are absent. Third, what did I say? Nucleus. Smooth muscle fiber is uninucleate. Only one nucleus and it is present in the center. And fourth, that is together you can write as 1 point. Nucleus is centrally placed. And fourth point, if you want, you can write the functions. Function is involuntary in function. I have not noted here, you may note it. The function is involuntary in function. The picture is here. When you draw in the notebook, you have to draw more than one cell. I have shown only one cell in the slide, but you have to draw more than one cell. Okay, if you want striated muscle, you can draw one, but unstriated 2 or 3 cells you can draw. Next muscle fiber is cardiac muscle fiber. These muscle fibers are small and cylindrical and branched. So they are cylindrical and branched. Next is, of course, when they are branched, they have broad ends. Second, what did I say about striations? They have faint striations or light striations. Third, what did I say? Nucleus. Nucleus, the cells of this fiber are uninucleate and that nucleus is centrally located or centrally placed. Here is the picture of the cardiac muscle fiber. Cardiac muscle fiber is present in the heart The difference between cardiac muscle fiber and unstriated muscle fiber is that unstriated muscle fiber is involuntary in function. Cardiac is also involuntary, but they work in a rhythmic manner. Cardiac muscle fiber is present in the heart. They work in a rhythmic manner. So with that, we have come to the end of the different types of muscle fibers. So we discussed epithelial tissue and muscle fibers. Please learn all these points and be thorough with the topic. Today we have discussed only two types of animal tissues. What are they? Epithelial tissue and muscular tissue. I have restricted to two because there is enough points to learn. I expect everyone to draw the diagram and explain the different types of muscular tissue in your notebook. You would have already noted the points from the slide. So draw the diagram. First, when you are writing the muscular tissue, draw the diagram of striated muscle, explain. Then unstriated diagram, explanation. Same way, cardiac muscle diagram, explanation. That is an important 3-mark question. Epithelial tissue, you need not write. If you want, it's better you draw the diagram, maybe 2 or 3 cells of each type, or it is not necessary that you should draw the diagram. Epithelial tissue, you must know what is squamous epithelium, what is stratified epithelium. Then you must know different types of epithelium or epithelial cells based on their shape and function. Just write all the functions and the organs where each type of epithelial cells are present or epithelial tissue is present. That is what is important in the epithelial tissue. Muscular tissue diagram is important. Please complete all the question answers, and in each lesson I need not repeat, but still I am repeating so that you do not forget. There are few questions after each topic. Answer to all the questions given after each topic and at the end of the chapter. Please don't keep it, pile it up and keep it for the last minute. As and when the topics are taken, please complete all the work related to those topics. Only extra questions which is not included in these question answers at the text, in the text, only will be given in the worksheet. So questions in the worksheet should also be answered in the biology note. Hope all the things what I told you is clear. Next class we will discuss the next two tissues. Thank you.